Good morning, students. So this could be the second session of our object-oriented programming. For the recap of previous session, we have planned a simple MCQ. So I need your answers in the chat. You have to type answers in the chat. Okay. So through that, we could able to understand what was your learning was from the previous session. So starting with that, what is the answer for this question? Type only the option, either A, B, C or D. Type only the option in the chat. Which of the following is not a OOPS concept in Java? Some basic and easy questions. The questions that whatever that we are being posted here are available in most of the placement preparation websites, Prep Insta, likewise. So if I could be able to see answers. So I'm getting options, more number of options from option D. So that's a nice thing. So ultimately that's the answer. Second question. I think this is something that you have to, if you have further digged what we have taught yesterday, you could be able to answer this question. Which of the following is a type of polymorphism in Java? It's a secondary level question in OOPS concept. People who are already familiar with the thing, people who have undergone training, that you could be able to answer this question. What could be the best option for this? So I'm ready to see the chat. So the options are coming for, I'm getting multiple options, A, C, A. It is going like this. Okay. But I'll tell you, the option would be compile time polymorphism, because multi-level, the terms are related to inheritance, and execution type polymorphism, there is no such a word, but we have something called dynamic polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. It should be available on this. Okay, so that is the case that we need to think of. Third question, when does method overloading is determined? So this is also a question based on polymorphism only. First of all, you must know what is method overloading. So people who have attended training could be able to answer this. Method overloading will come under the section polymorphism. Method overloading is nothing but, for example, I am going to add two numbers. I am going to write there are two functions. Both the function names will be same, but only the passing arguments will be different. For example, add is the function name. I am going to pass two arguments, a comma b. So in the first function, add of a comma b is going to work for integers. A and b are integers. Next add of again a comma b, that a and b are going to be a double numbers or floating point numbers. It is going to work for the fractions. Okay, that's what method overloading. So in that case, when it will be determined? When it will be determined. So during in the explanation itself, you have the answer. So ultimately, it would be during compile time only, because before executing the program itself, we will convey that type of data, that what we are going to pass. So that's the thing regarding this question. And this one, which concept of Java is a way of converting real world objects in terms of class? You have the answer for this question available in the mind map what I have shown yesterday. Which concept of Java is a way of converting real world objects in terms of class? Options are coming as C, D, Okay. C, D. Yes. Ultimately, the answer could be abstraction. That's the thing. Because the detailed study of uh, accessing everything will come under abstraction. Nothing will be visible towards you. Only you will utilize it. Right? Purpose of the respective entity will be understood only through abstraction. Because we don't know what would be the input and what would be the process, how it is carrying over on that. Only thing is we will utilize that service as it is. So that's the thing. We are going to utilize the service bus, the service train, the service aircraft. We won't think about the mechanical engineering or automobile engineering behind the respective uh, nature of the object. So that's the thing. Final question. Which concept of Java is achieved by combining methods and attributes into a class? So this has been given us, even could able to find answers in the mind map itself. So we are getting answers as that's the thing. So people started giving answers on encapsulation. That's a correct answer. Okay, because the process of binding data with a code, the process of binding variable with the methods. So ultimately that will end up with the encapsulation capsule, right? Within the class, I am going to use both my data with the function. That's what the term that they are ready to convey here. Okay. So in today's session, what we are going to see? We are going to see how to execute a basic Java program in a traditional way, right? In a traditional way, as well as what are all necessary for me to execute a Java program. What made a Java program to be unique compared to other languages? In recent trends, we are using the Android phone. So how this Android process is being related? Android is an operating system. How it is related with our Java? Everything that we are going to see in today's session. So that would be here. See, JDK, Java Development Kit. JRE, Java Runtime Environment. JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Java Development Kit is nothing but it will supply us the set of libraries for us. It will supply us the built-in methods. It will supply us the APIs to execute my program. So for example, you are going to display your name. In that case, system.out.printf within double quotes I will give RIT. Who will supply this system.out.printf? All these things are available inside our JDK package. Okay, so it is like a development tool, development environment. You will have set of built-in functions. Even you can write your own user-defined function and call the built-in functions within your user-defined functions also. So that can be done easily through this JDK. So JDK will supply us tools, right, to develop application. That is the main idea. Next, so it will supply tools alone. Okay, so that's the thing. What does this JVM talk about? Java Virtual Machine. This virtual machine consists of two components. What are they? Java C and Java. So Java C could be the compiler and Java would be the interpreter for the JVM. This could be the component of this. This could be the application level component of this. But if I'm going to penetrate, I will show you in the next slide how could a JVM will work. I will tell you separately. Next, JRE. JRE is nothing but Java Runtime Environment. This is mandatory for all operating systems. We will be conveying that Java is platform independent. Okay, we will be conveying that Java is platform independent. The term independency is being flagged through this JRE only, right? So without this JRE, you could not be able to host a Java program. That's very, very important here. Okay, so most of the operating systems are yielded nowadays with JRE. JRE could be the patch of anything, right? So while they are going to develop the operating system itself, they will patch JRE with it and they will producing that. So whenever operating system is going for upgrade, ultimately JRE also will get to be upgraded. So Java runtime environment, you could able to find the logo of the old logo of Sun Microsystems, that coffee cup, that is which is a brewing coffee. So that could be the logo of that Sun Microsystems that Java have developed initially by them. Later it has been acquired by Oracle. So even Oracle people are maintaining the same logo, right? So if JRE is available in your machine, means you could able to see in the icon tray nearby your clocks in your desktop or laptop, you could able to see that JRE will be running. But nowadays quad core processors and i3 i7 configurations are being emerged. In that case, what's happening over there is uh, the the JRE related entities are treated as daemons. It started to run as a background process. So ultimately, it could be the part of the operating system. So likewise, it has been treated. So that's the main role of JRE here. So to make Java applications to run in a system, JRE is mandatory. So these are all the things about JDK, JRE, JVM. Okay. So this JVM could be unique for each operating system. That's also a thing. So I'll show you in the next slide. This could be the architecture of my JVM, right? It is something related to your what do you call the microprocessor or the architecture, the micro architecture of your system. Okay, the configuration of your operating system. This could be the design of this JVM, right? The diagram what I have shown here is general JVM architecture. This JVM architecture will vary for Intel, will vary for Motorola, will vary for Thomson, will vary for other types of manufacturers who are preparing the CPUs, microcontrollers, microprocessors. Okay, so depending upon that, the size also will vary. Depending upon the device size also, it will vary. So that's the idea. Here, the only thing that what you need to understand here is class loader. Okay, because while I'm going to execute a Java program, I will get a class file. Only that class file is platform independent. So that class file can be run anywhere else. So that's what we have seen in yesterday's session also. Here you have a lot of components that you could be able to see. Class loader is nothing but I am loading the class file. For that you are having a software. Rest of the things you could be able to see. Class area, the place where you will store your class file. Heap, it is the free data area in the memory. Okay, so it's a data structure again. It's a free data area in the memory. Stack, so purely it works on the logic of our last in first out, right? Like this only. What is the logic of stack? Please type in the chat. What is the logic of stack? Type it in the chat. What is the logic of stack? Last in, first out. It won't be first in, last out. I have received only one answer. What about others? Show your liveliness in the chat. Otherwise, you'll consider that you are sleeping. Yes, lost in, first out. See, in that case, this PC register. So what it will do? Program counter. So it is ready to store the address of the next instruction to be executed. See, don't worry about all those things. You will learn in computer architecture in a detailed way, right? So these are all the components or the hardware environment come software environment that are going to interact with this general JVM. That's the idea. Okay, so execution engine is nothing but that's the place your actual like Java C and Java will have the role on that. Native method interface means for every processor you have an instruction set. Okay, that instruction set will be mapped with the bytecode of the class. Bytecode of the class. That's the purpose of this native method interface. Every microprocessor or microcontroller have their own instruction set. Right? So what is the purpose of a translator? Converting high-level language into low-level language. That's the ultimate idea, right? So in that case, the low-level language is not about ones and zeros. That's for our electronic purpose. But pertaining to the assembly purpose. So what we are going to work with, the corresponding instruction set, the corresponding instruction set of the microprocessor that will be mapped with the bytecode of the respective program. Okay, so by that only that it could be the process of high level into low level will happen over there through native method interface, right? So till now in C, C++, Python, you might have learned that. So high level language into low level language, how this process is happening, that has been elaborated through this architecture. Okay, so don't worry more about this architecture. So we will be seeing this could be the basic way to run a Java program, right? Editor, it would be anything. I will show you a traditional way now. Okay, so how to execute a Java program. This is the way to run a Java program. You have to type your program in any editor, save it as filename.java. Next, what you have to do? So you have to compile it using javac space filename.java, and it will generate the class file. See, till now we have xxx.java. That's all. While you are going to compile, you will get two files. xxx.java is already existing file. Again, you will get one more file in the same folder, xxx.class. You will get two files. Okay. So after that, I am going to interpret it. So execute it. So Java class name. So that is the idea here. Okay. So before traveling into the next slide, I want to show you the live execution of this. And I suggest you, if you want to make a note, note it down. Otherwise, the recorded video lecture will be available in your Google Classroom under CS839 to object-oriented programming. So for executing this, what you need? Okay. So I am skipping out from the presentation to the real-time environment. So here you could be able to see, I'll tell you where you have to download the real JDK. Okay. So JDK download, type it in the Google. You will get this. Right. The recent version of this JDK is available in this website that you could be able to see here. Oracle.com/in Java Technologies JavaSC downloads.com. Even I will copy this and put it in your chat. That would be more beneficial for you. Okay, so this could be the place where you have to download your JDK. So this is the one. See, I am pointing out over there. You have Oracle JDK. The recent version is JavaSC Standard Edition. Okay. So here you have two things: JDK download, documentation download. Don't worry about documentation download. Just you have to download this JDK download. Okay. So already I have downloaded it, but for your sake, I will show you the procedure of downloading. So once you click that, it will go to this page, and depending upon your OS, in your laptop or desktop, what is the OS you have. So depending upon this, you could be able to use this Linux. See, people who are having Linux and Mac, that you could be able to run directly, no need to download and use it, because your Linux and Mac have built-in Java compilers are available. Simple thing is you have to upgrade it. Okay, sudo apt get update. If you supply this command, by default it will update your existing Java. Sudo space apt hyphen get space update. If you do that, the result thing will get to be installed. So this is the thing that you have to download. So what I am showing, Windows x64 installer. It will run around 163 MB. If you click this, an exe will be downloaded. It will ask you some statements, agreement statements. Just click it and download. Once you download this, show you the folder. So it will come in download section. Okay, it will available in download section. You copy that exe and go to C drive. See, this is the place I have pasted this, that you could be able to see here. So that could be a brewing coffee cup smell. JDK 14.02 Windows x64 _bin. So this is the software which is necessary for us to run all Java technologies, right? See, people will be practicing through IDE. That's what the corporate people are expecting. people who are coming for campus interviews, they are also expecting to practice using IDEs only. Example, IBM Eclipse. Okay, but you must know the traditional way how it was happening, right? In later days, so in the initial section, I have talked about how to run a or how to create a web browser. Okay, I think I have talked about it towards final year. Probably you can design your own web browser in Java. Okay, so in that case, if you want to create your own plugins, if you want to create your own entities for the respective browser, in that case, it is good to do in this type of traditional one. So there you could be able to supply everything in the hand picking way. Okay, so that's the easier one for you. So anyway, you practice this one also. Still you are exploring with your IBM Eclipse. So this is the one that will be available once you complete your download. Right? See here, approximately 166 MB is available here. Okay. So you have to double click it. By default, it will install in program files folder. So already I have installed. Okay. So while you are going to double click and save it, it will be available in program files folder. In program files folder, you could be able to see Java. Right? Your folder will automatically will come. Java. Click Java, you will be able to find the JDK package, Java Development Kit. So within this, you are having a bin folder. Within Java, within JDK, you have a bin folder. Within this bin folder only, your complete execution tools will be available, right? So for executing Java program, we need Java C. This is what I have clicked. You have seen, right? For compiling the Java program, that you could be able to use this Java C. For making the program to execute, you need an interpreter Java, right? So these two tools are available here. Okay. So how to run the program? Also how to execute the program? We will see. Okay. So now what I am going to do. So I am going to open the command prompt. Just you have to type command prompt will come, right? So for your convenience, already I have a program. So D colon I have a program. So D colon DAR star dot Java. I have created a program DAR star dot Java. I have a program 1.java. So how to execute this program? So before that, might be you could see that program. So what that program is? Notepad. So I'm going to open the program file. Open. So what I'm going to do? It's available in D colon. Choose all files. 1.java. So this could be the okay. So this could be the a basic program that's going to print my name. Okay. So I'm going to rename and I will show you again. Okay, because already I have saved this program. So what I'm going to do means I'll suggest to you what would be your class name. In the same name, it must be available. Okay. What would be your class name? The same name, your file name will be available. Now the class name is 2. Okay. So these are all the built-in contents, public, class, and you will be able to see the double slash. It represents your comment line. Okay. If it is a multi-line means it could be like this. First Java program, and I'm going to export on second line. Authored by RIP. So this could be the multi-line comment statement. Okay. So single line comment statement, double slash, and a multi-line comment statement will come like this. Slash, asterisk, and that corresponding statement. So every program that you could start with a comment statement. That is the best way of doing program. Best way of professional programming practice. It is. It's a module is available in your Wipro Talent Next. Professional way of writing a program. For that, it carries some points for you. Okay, so please remember that whatever the program that you are going to write in any language, not only in Java, in any language, start with a comment statement. That's very, very important. Public is the keyword, class is the keyword, and 2 is the name. that you can prefer and give. Ultimately, what is the class name that you are going to give? The same way that you have to save the file also. Public keyword static. Public means you can access anywhere else. That's the meaning. More number of classes are there, you can access, right? Static. What is the purpose of this static? What is the purpose of using static keyword in the main method? See, people who are familiar with the C++ will know that whatever the content I am giving within the class, that will be accessed by object only. So, without creating the object, have a note on this. Without creating the object, if I need to access any method which is available inside the class, I have to use the static keyword. So, please understand that again I am conveying you within the class if any things are available. This is class 2. In this class, we are having main method. As per standard requirements, within the class, if anything is available, in that case, using object only you can access. But without using object, if you need to access anything within the class, you can use a static keyword. For the purpose only, we are creating the static keyword here, right? So as usual, void, it won't return anything. Main is the entry point for the compiler to get into the program. So string args, might be people who are familiar with the C and C++ could know about that you will be running with the argc and the argv, right? The same way here we are having string args. So while we are going to execute the program in command line mode, so you could able to use it in a effective way for the purpose of receiving inputs through command line. I will show you those examples also. Okay, so command line that you could able to know this. So system.out.println, it is like your print statement in Python, the same way, or otherwise cout in your C++, otherwise printf in your C, the same way that you could able to give this. So make sure that some of the conventions are here. So you could able to see that this system, you could able to see that anything that starts with a capital letter is nothing but a class. Okay, anything that starts with a capital letter, that is nothing but class in Java. So please remember that. So this could be the program now ready for you. Now I'm going to save this. Alt file, save as. So I'm going to save within say D drive. So I'm going to save it as 2.java because already 1.java is available. 2.java. I'm going to save as 2.java. I'm saving within double quotes because default extension of a Java program is for a notepad is .txt. So in any editor that you are going to save, the default extension will be saved. To avoid that, you have to save the file within double quotes. So how to save within double quotes? File name.java. That's what. File name and class name must be equal. That's the reason why I suggest you to use like this. But even you can use some other file name. But the thing is, you will get confusion when you are going to execute the Java program. To avoid this only, give the class name as your file name. That's the easier job for you. Okay. So now I have saved this. Okay. That's all. Now it is over. Minimize this. You need to come here. Now by supplying this command dir star.java. Now you could able to see 2.java. So our file had come. Now I have to execute the program. But actually where we have installed our program, the JDK package is available in C drive. Okay. Now you just visit the C drive. So CD. So it is available inside program files. Program files available in Java. Next CD, JDK is available within this folder. So within bin only we have this. Okay. So to verify that your compiler have installed correctly or not, after visiting to this path, simply you type Java C and enter. You could able to see some set of options will be scrolling on this. So this shows that if these options are ready to come, it states that your compiler is being ready to execute anything. Okay. Even you can save your program within this folder itself and you can run. But the professional way of doing this one is store the program in some other drive and folder, and you have to set the path of this compiler towards your own folder. See, our programs are available in D drive, but the package is available in this drive. So what I have to do, I have to copy this path and I have to run it over there. Okay, so how to do that? Please have a note on this path. So for example, what could I do? Be able to copy this. So I could able to type it directly. No problem. So here I could type that path C:/program space files slash Java slash JDK hyphen 14.0.2 slash bin. Okay, this could be the idea. Control C. So I copied it. So now go to our folder D:. So in this place, I need to set my path. So what is path? Path is the environmental variable. See that? Already we have some set of built-in paths are available. Okay. Here already some built-in paths are available which are set by the operating system itself. So what you have to do? This is the command. Please make a note of this. Path equal to %path %. What is the purpose of this statement? Already path environmental variable have its own data. It should not be disturbed. For the purpose only, the statement must be given. Give semicolon and press enter. Now it won't be disturbed. Now what you have to do? Set path equal to, already we have identified the path here. Okay, this is the path of our tools. So what I have to do? Copy. So here within double quotes, I could able to give Control V won't work here. So click this, paste, will come. Okay, set path. See, my tools are available in C drive. My program is available in D drive. I am setting the path of C to D. That's all. That is what I am doing here. Now press enter. Now the path is available. To verify that, you can see. See, initially I have typed the path variable. 2 lines before that you could able to identify there is no Java set over on that. Now you check path variable. Now it has been replaced. Right? This is what the thing that we need to understand. Again, to check whether it has been available or not, what I have to do? Java C. Yes. Now the compiler is ready to execute my program. So what I have to do? Java C 2.java. This is the way to execute the Java program. First preliminary phase, right? So what we have seen in our presentation, I wrote the program in Notepad. It is over. Step 2, Java C XXX.java. Here Java C 2.java. That's all. Executing this. If you have any errors, it will be reflected here. If you don't have any errors, automatically. What is the second step? Java, the corresponding class name. So in this place, I want to give an explanation on this. Class name and file name both must be equal, right? You can compile Java C file name.java, any name. For example, instead of saving this file as 2.java, I have saved it as 3.java. Assume that. So in that case, while you are going to execute, you should not use Java 3 because class name is 2. Only for saving purpose, I have used 3, but actual class name is 2. Okay. So in that case, I have to use class name only. So to avoid the confusion between 2 and 3 only, I am suggesting you to use both the class name and file name must be same. So when I am going to give this, some systems will convey error, some systems will execute as it is. Now it got to execute, right? See, at some systems, at the initial stage, while you are going to execute, see, it had given the output, Java class name. Automatically, I could be able to see the output. in some systems it may not work. In that case, what you have to do, Java space -cp class path. Okay, so that must be given, and the place where your class file is available. That's what the class path mentions. Okay, then you have to give the class name. Okay, this is the way. Note down this, right? Java space -cp space d:/. The d:// represents in that directory only my class file is available. Okay, so space the class name. So this is the way. If it's not executing in your laptop or desktop, try to use this option and you could able to see the output. So that's a simple way to execute a Java program in a traditional way. Students, still you have not followed on this. Later time, just you play this video, install the software in your machine, and execute at least 2 or 3 programs today. Okay. So continuing with our presentation, something was blurred. This could be the elaborated way of execution. So I'm executing the program abc.java using Java C. If there is any error, it will be reflected there. If there is no error, bytecode will be generated. Okay, abc.java will generate the bytecode. What is this bytecode? Shall we see what is the bytecode is? So you could able to see here the bytecode. So in D drive, I could able to show you. See that 1.class or 2.class. This is what recently we have written. So open with so we'll open in WordPad. See that this is bytecode, right? So 2.java's corresponding thing is available like this. See, most of the things that you could not be able to read write like this. Okay, so see that I will show you. See that this is available. This is available in your class file. This is what bytecode is. Okay, make sure that. But do not play with this class file. That may corrupt your environment. So that's what happening. abc.class. It will come to the class loader. Class loader will load only abc.class. Bytecode will be verified. What is the use of this bytecode verifier? Pertaining to your operating system, it is ready to map with the corresponding hardware. Here you could able to see hardware and OS. Right? OS is the interface between user and computer hardware. Okay, so it is ready to convert your bytecode into the native instruction set of the corresponding CPU. Hardware represents your CPU here. Okay, so that's the process explained here. How an Android compilation process will be there. Now you are familiar with your source code and class files. Okay, so .java and that thing. This is the way to execute a Android program, or this is the way to execute a Java program which is written for Android. This is the way to execute, right? So you will write your Java program and it will be executed by Java C, the standard compiler. Next, you will get a class file. That class file will run through ProGuard. Okay, so that's again an obfuscating tool. Obfuscating tool means if I reverse your class file, I will get your source code. To avoid that, this obfuscation tool will be used. So now the size of the class file will be reduced because our Android mobiles are lightweight. Okay, in terms of storage as well as software. So that class file will be converted into .dex. Okay, so like I think we must have some difference of architecture pertaining to our desktop and laptop with our mobile. Okay, the microprocessor or microcontroller available in our mobile is something to work with RISC. This means reduced instruction set computer. While you are learning computer architecture, you will come to know about that. CISC and RISC, complex instruction set computer and reduced instruction set computer. For RISC architecture, this DEX will recompile and convert it into its own instruction set. That is the purpose of this. So finally, it will pack it into your corresponding environment, or the way that it will be published in your store. Okay. So now my code is ready to work on. So for writing any system softwares for Android, this will be more apt. Okay, for writing any system softwares. For example, for boosting the carrier services, might be you will get updates now and then for your mobiles. So that can be done through this only. So whenever you are going to download the corresponding boosting services, you will get the process, the entire process again. Whenever your new OS is coming for your, so recently Android 10 has approached most of the mobiles. So in that case, it will recompile. The recompile option will happen through DeX only. Okay, the received class file will be minimized and will be compressed, and your Android update will run. Your mobile will restart. It will fit into the corresponding location. Okay, that's what this Android compilation process is. And this diagram will tell about where these files will be. Right, where these files will be. My Java file will be available in hard disk. Okay, my compiler is available in hard disk. But once it executes, and class file will be loaded from disk to the RAM via class loader. Via class loader, right? So the green color will talk about RAM. So class loader will load my class file from hard disk to RAM. That is what phase 3. In phase 4, you could be able to understand that bytecode verifier. It is cross verifying that whether this class file could be able to run in my machine or not. So it will map it with the native instruction set. Right, it is over. Next, JVM will execute it and it will show you the result ultimately. So JVM bytecode verifier will work only on RAM. Please understand that. JVM and bytecode verifier will work only on RAM. Class loader is the one which will work both hard disk as well as your RAM. Okay, so this is the diagram. We'll talk about still more penetrating idea. People who are moving towards Android, please understand these basics. It will more help you. Right. Again, I want to give you a comparative study here. Probably you have three more minutes. So people who want to travel with C#, right? If you learn Java effectively, C# is nothing. C# is from Microsoft. The same way how you are using class, object, hooks concept, etc., etc. If you are completely practiced in Java, C#, just you remember the syntax and you can start coding. Here we are running Java C file name.java. There you are going to write CSC file name.cs. Okay, here you are going to execute Java class name. There you will give only the class name and press enter, because Microsoft products will work based on EXEs. Okay, not on class. So it will generate EXE once you complete this. So things are same as that of the thing. No, there is no difference between the execution pattern or the internals of Java and the .NET framework. But the only thing is, it is going to generate class file. That is the major advantage of Java. But this .NET, the drawback is it will generate EXE or DLL, executable file or dynamic link library files. They are not platform independent. Only class file is platform independent. That is the only drawback. The reason to introduce this slide is people who are ready to familiar with these types of other technologies can learn parallelly. If you are learning Java, parallelly you can learn C# also. That's the idea I'm ready to post here. So already I think you are familiar with these variables, how to use a variable, how you should not be. So it is always case sensitive in Java. I have letters, digits, an underscore and $sign. So always start with an alphabet. So if I want to use any symbols, allowed are going to be underscore and a $sign only. So following that, characters, letters can be used. White space and other types of characters are not allowed. So reserved words cannot be used as a keyword. For example, main is a reserved word. I cannot use it as a variable here. So here some of the things are being given us, which are being to be there and to be replaced. So which are valid and which are invalid depending upon the rules that you could be able to find it out. There is no space between variable name. That's the invalid one, right? So speed, see the fifth one. There's a space between speed, EE. That's invalid. And in the last one you could be able to see, I could be able to find out here exclamation mark. That's invalid, right? But valid, some bad variable name also being given. This slide has been introduced. What is the professional way of giving the variable name? Adding two numbers means don't give A and B. Instead of that, you can give number 1, comma number 2. Likewise, you could be able to give a meaningful variable name. So there are 3 types of variables will be there. I think we are approaching the time. So remaining things we'll continue in the next class. If you have any clarifications, please post here.